Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, I'm Salma and now I and my group members will share to you about the Christaller theory. So what is Christaller theory? Christaller theory is basically a theory about the central place that was introduced by Walter Christaller in his book entitled Central Place in Southern Germany 1933. The central place theory attempts to describe how settlements are located in relation to one another, the amount of market area that a central place can control, and why some central places function as hamlets, villages, small towns, or large cities. Which means a central area can give impacts towards the surrounding in terms of goods, material, and anything that needed by the surroundings. Alright, next slide is the illustration of this theory. The hexagonal picture here shows the connection between one place to another. As you can see, the red area or red circle is the city where it's surrounded by other areas which are town, market town, and also village. So in other words, the central area or city have impacts towards the surrounding. Okay, so that's all the definition of Christaller theory. For more explanation, will presented by my friends in the next slide. Thank you.
So I'm going to talk about the Christaller assumptions of Christaller central place theory. Christaller made some assumptions to make history easy to understand and form the basis for other theories. These assumptions were necessary and hold good to explain the structure of settlements. These also take into account the economic growth and development of towns, human behavior, human geography, economic theory, and fundamentals of economics. He made the following assumption. An even flat terrain, a hilly and uneven terrain, poses difficulty in development thus a flat area which promotes the growth of the town. And then evenly distributed population. Residents are not concentrated at one particular place and no preference exists for a particular town. And then evenly distributed resources. Similar purchasing power along with the population and resources, wealth is also distributed. And then next is the preference for the nearest market. People will buy products from the nearest market and avoid the long commute. And then next is equal transportation costs, where the cost incurred in transporting of goods is equal for all and is proportional to the distance. Perfect competition. Price is decided on the basis of demand and supply. These assumptions, when combined, results in places offering different services. In these places in which people enjoy the perfect market and purchase from the nearest place to save money and time, different services locate themselves on the basis of the threshold population. The minimum number of people required to sustain that service or activity. So in addition to these, there is no preference for a particular shop. All people have access to equal resources and do not enjoy any advantage over its competitor. The demand for goods consumed and used on a daily basis will be used more and vice versa. Okay, next is the explanation of terms central place, definition, low order, high order, sphere of influence. First is a central place is a settlement which provides one or more services for the population living around it. It has the highest order in urban hierarchy and houses in the most expensive and beneficial economic activity. Second is the simple basic services are said to be of low order. Specialized services are said to be of high order. Having a high order service implies there are low order services around it, but not vice versa. Settlements which provide low order services are said to be low order settlements. So settlements that provide high order services are said to be high order settlements. The sphere of influence in the area under the influence of the central place.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Amira Afika. So I will explain on the two main concepts of central place theory. So as per Walter Christaller, central place theory is based on two fundamental concepts which are threshold and range. So basically threshold is the minimum population needed to make a service available at a particular place. If this size is not reached, then a particular activity will not start or will be closed down. And for the range is the maximum distance a consumer is willing to purchase good or avail a service. Beyond this distance, consumer will not travel, as the distance traveled for good or service will outweigh the benefit. So for the range, there are two limits. The first one is upper limits. Upper limit denotes an area beyond which there will be no buyer willing to travel, and for lower limit denotes an area need for a firm to make profit and have sufficient demand. And that's all for me. I will pass the floor to Akmal Nadira. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Akmal Nadira binti Ali. So for today, I'll be talking about the example of this Christaller theory, or what we call as central place theory. So the primary purpose of settlement or market town, according to this theory, are to provide goods and services, okay, at the surrounding market area. So such towns, let's take a look at Kuala Lumpur. So Kuala Lumpur are centrally located and may be called as central places, and the goods and services at Kuala Lumpur are more better and greater rather than the other sub-city in Kuala Lumpur. So Kuala Lumpur, or settlement that provide more goods and services than other places, are called as higher order central places, while the other one, or the sub-city, are called lower order central places that have small market areas and they provided small goods and services that are purchased more frequently rather than the higher order central place. So higher order places are more widely distributed and fewer in number than lower order places. So for example, like Kuala Lumpur, for example, like Bukit Bintang. So Bukit Bintang cover a lot of spaces, and it have greater and good services at Bukit Bintang. So while the other towns like Brickfields, for example, like Ampang, for example, so those are function as hamlets or small towns. Okay, so what I can conclude for this example is that central places are distributed over a uniform plane of constant population density and purchasing power. So meaning to say, movement or consumer movement around the central place is uniform and easy in direction, meaning to say the cost for transportation are very linear, and consumers act rationally to minimize transportation costs by visiting the nearest location offering the desired goods and services.
Criticism and limitations on Christoller's central place theory. There are major limitations of this theory, which is it is quite unrealistic. We can see that the theory relates only to the service sector. The first aspect is physical assumption. So it is nearly impossible to have very large flat terrain, perfect market, and absence of preference for shopping places. The second one, which is economic aspect. Today's economy is a capitalist economy, but the government plays an equally important role, which has a strong influence on the market and the location of activities. And also, regarding resources distribution, the resources are never equally distributed in reality, and some even enjoy disproportionate benefits. In conclusion, the central place theory is used to describe the size and distribution of settlements. It has been used and widely appreciated. However, there are still some modifications required in the basic theory in order to make it functional as per actual scenario. So I think that's all from us. Thank you for watching.